clinic, I never know what I'm walking into. Since I was little, I've always had a plan. I had a plan to get good grades to get into an established college. I had plans to go to vet school, and I had plans to become a veterinarian. However, what I've learned so far is you can't plan everything in veterinary medicine. A dog coming in for a simple rabies vaccine may end up swelling or seizing due to a vaccine reaction. Or a cat coming in for behavioral issues related to marking his territory may not leave for a couple days due to an emergency surgery having to be done to drain a blockage in his bladder. But that's what makes veterinary medicine so interesting. Ralph Marston once said, "What you do today can improve all your tomorrows." I chose this quote for my ISM journey this year because I believe it directly relates to how this program works. Although it is my senior year and many fall ill to the dreaded senioritis, I will resist the temptation and continue to pursue my dreams through the ISM program. I came into this year already too familiar with the large workload and time consumption associated with ISM, but also the reward of remaining dedicated and putting in all that I have. I know that what I put into this program will only benefit me in the future. So this year, I'm continuing my mentorship with Dr. Julian Hunter from Lazy Paw Animal Hospital. I've shadowed her since December of 2015 through my first year in the ISM program. She has over 14 years of experience as a veterinarian and has several years of experience in the ISM program as a mentor. I'm currently working at her clinic as a veterinary assistant and hoping to gain my CVA by the end of this year. I chose her as a mentor again because I've received so many different opportunities from her, and not only her, but the other veterinarians that work there. And I know that she truly cares about teaching me and the other techs that work there all that she can about the field, so she presents me with so many great opportunities. So through the ISM program, a lot of research is done through informational interviews and independent research analysis. However, since I already did all my interviews last year, most of my research comes from mentor observations. So one of the first things that interested me this year was a case in which an animal came in with heartworms. And heartworms are transmitted by mosquitoes that deposit the young heartworms known as microfilariae into the bloodstream that then travel to the heart and attach themselves to the lining of the heart. It's a very serious disease that is prevalent in the South because of the humid conditions, which is why veterinarians stress so much the preventative options that are available. There's many different options, including HeartGuard, Trifexis, and Revolution, and usually these preventatives are pretty safe and secure in ensuring that the animals remain safe, but we did have a recent scare with a patient that had been on preventative that tested as positive for heartworms. So after additional testing was done, it turns out the animal had been diagnosed with heartworm earlier on in its life, and so it just tested as a false positive due to the hormones and responses, so the animal ended up not being positive. But if a dog is infected, there's very few treatment options. One of the most common treatment options is a 3-round treatment plan of imidacide. This includes an injection in the lower back muscles. The first round is administered, and then 30 days later the dog comes back for another round, and the following day the dog comes back for its 3rd round. And this is a very painful injection that requires the animal to remain non-active for around 6 weeks, so we try to avoid any infection at all. And there are currently no safe treatment options available for cats, which is why veterinarians stress the importance of putting your cat on preventative if it is an outdoor cat. One of my other research assessments was over the difference between Addison's disease and Cushing's disease, which are also diseases we see often in a general veterinary clinic. So Addison's disease results from the adrenal gland failing to produce corticosteroids, which are pretty much adrenaline. So the hormones that allow adaptation to stress. And there's only one test right now that's out to completely diagnose Addison's disease, which is the ACTH stimulation test, and that's when the animal is given a dose of the ACTH, and an animal that has Addison's disease will not react because it doesn't have any adrenaline to react with. And Addison's disease is also known as the great imitator because many of the symptoms it produces mimics and imitates other diseases, so it's often very hard to diagnose. And there's also very few treatment options for this one. The first one is a twice daily administered oral medication that can be given at home, or the second one is an injection that is known as Percortin V, which the animal will come in every 25 days to be administered by a veterinarian. I found it really interesting that there are breeds and genders that are more predisposed to this disease. So poodles and bearded collies, as well as females, are reported with having it twice as often as males. So if you have a black poodle that's a female, she's more likely to have Addison's disease than any other breed. And then Cushing's disease is the reciprocal of Addison's disease, so this results from the body producing too much adrenaline, too many steroids. So this can result from either a tumor on the adrenal gland or on the pituitary gland, or if your animal's been on steroids for a long time to treat another disease, it can lead to resistance. So this is also closely related to establishing other health issues, including diabetes, due to the hormone imbalance. So here you can see the different ways that Cushing's disease is presented in an animal. So here is the tumor on the pituitary gland, and then here it is on the adrenal gland. So those are the two main ways that Cushing's disease is identified. Next, I saw a case in an enucleation, which is, it came in when a dog had a luxated lens in both eyes. So a luxated lens is when the lens of the eye shifts and begins falling either into the anterior or posterior chamber of the eye. And this can cause painful discomfort and eventually the rupturing of the eye. So an enucleation is when an eyeball is removed in its entirety and the socket is sewn shut. There are prosthesis options available to place into the eye socket, but they're more expensive and often seen as unnecessary as they're just for cosmetic and aesthetically pleasing reasons. And the only reported cosmetic issue that most people have is the eye socket sometimes sinks in, but removal should not result in any other issues with the animal. One of the next cases I saw was one of difficult birth. So it was an emergency transfer from a cat in labor, and she had successfully delivered one of her kittens, but the second one had been stuck in the birth canal for over an hour. So by the time she got into the clinic, the second one had already died, but there's still 2 more kittens stuck inside of her. So Dr. Hunter had to do an emergency C-section to remove the next 2 kittens, and she decided to spay the cat as well at that point to prevent any other unwanted or difficult pregnancies in the future. The other 2 kittens were born healthy, so there were 3 kittens total, but they were having trouble latching, which is when they attached the cat's teat to get the nutrients they need from her milk, so we did have to bottle feed them. And then what I learned through this experience is that puppies and kittens can't eliminate on their own for the first few days, so they have to be eliminated through stimulation. So we had to help with that because often the mothers have trouble learning how to do that as well. And we've now seen the cat and the kittens multiple times since this happened, and they're all doing well, they're all happy and healthy. So overall, just learning in the clinic, I've become a lot more confident in basic skills that will help me in the future. I'm starting to do blood draws more. I administer vaccines. I'm becoming more confident with restraint and interacting with patients and clients in the examination rooms with the doctors. And I'm also becoming more familiar with different medications, which kind of ties into part of my original work. So in the future, right now, I'm looking forward to just learning more skills that'll benefit me in the clinic and beginning to help with radiographs once I turn 18, and then just working towards my CVA for the end of the year. So for my original work, this all stemmed from my interest in parasitology and the different parasites that we often see in the clinic, especially in puppies and kittens. So I decided to research both the external and internal parasites that pose a threat to dogs and cats. And one of the most basic questions that people generally have when we diagnose their animal is that they're confused on how their animal may have contracted this parasite and what they need to do to make sure their animal remains healthy in the future. So I decided to research all the different parasites, including heartworm, roundworm, hookworms, whipworms, fleas, ticks, coccidia, and then assessing the different treatment options we have specifically at Lazy Paw Animal Hospital and analyzing the advantages and disadvantages of each. So for example, HeartGuard is a treat-like pill that the animals generally take fairly well, and that treats against heartworm and a few intestinal parasites, while Trifexis is a bitter pill that the animals typically don't like as much, but it treats against heartworm, a few intestinal parasites, and fleas. So it generally treats against more. It just depends on what the patient and client works best for them. And then after doing all this research, I plan to compile the information in a visually appealing digital product. And my hope in doing this was not only to teach myself more about the different parasites in the clinic that I need to be familiar with, but also to create something that could be helpful for clients that may be unaware of how their animals are diagnosed with these parasites and what they can do to treat them. So I began by researching the different parasites, and I researched many different aspects about them, including how they're contracted, what the effect of the host is, and any other additional information that I thought was necessary. And for a lot of them, it's contracted the same way, especially the intestinal parasites. It's contracted through Soil that's been contaminated by feces, so if your animal ends up digging in it or eating it somehow, then often they become infected. And then after I researched all the different parasites, I researched the preventative and treatment options available. So in this, I included the approved species, so is it safe for dogs, is it safe for cats, which parasite each option was effective on, and a lot of them are effective on multiple parasites, so a lot of the ones used for external parasites treat against fleas and ticks, and the ones for intestinal parasites often treat for all 4 types of worms. I also researched what age the treatment could be used, and this generally is around 6 weeks to 12 weeks, just depending on the medication, because that's when the animal's immune system is beginning to develop and they can withstand this medication. And then also if each one was safe for pregnant and lactating animals. So if an animal was pregnant, they needed to be on a different medication to ensure that they remained healthy. And then lastly, any pros or cons that I felt were necessary that patients and clients should consider before proceeding with these treatments. And then I ended up compiling all the information into a brochure. So here's my brochure. This is the outside of it. Here is the front, and then any information you can get from this website as well as Lazy Paw. And then I also listed the common parasites that are seen in the veterinary clinic, and I grouped them. Heartworms is in its own category because it's such a prevalent and important topic. And then I grouped the different intestinal parasites. So these are the 4 main types of worms: roundworm, hookworm, whipworm, and tapeworm. And some of these are even able to be contracted by humans, so it's definitely important to make sure your animal stays safe and that you wash your hands anytime you deal with an infected animal. And then coccidia is another intestinal parasite, but it's single-celled. And then lastly, the external parasites, which is fleas, tick, mange, and lice. I then researched the different treatment options and compiled that. So over here is the preventative care options which you use to prevent your animal from contracting the parasite in the first place. So HeartGuard and NexGuard are sister products that we often recommend. HeartGuard treating the heartworms, intestinal parasites, and NexGuard treats fleas and ticks. So we often recommend those together because they're both in treat format, so the animals take it well. And then the Revolution is a topical solution that's applied between the shoulder blades directly onto the skin. And a lot of animals take that well too if they don't take the pills well. So the only issue with that is the animal must remain out of water for a while to ensure that it properly soaks into the skin to remove the parasites. And then lastly, Trifexis is one that I've mentioned before that is a bitter tasting pill but often treats more parasites. And then over here are the dewormers, which are used once an animal has actually been diagnosed with parasites. And most of these treat intestinal parasites more than external parasites. And these include Drontal, Drontal Plus, which one of them is for dogs, one is for cats, Panicure, Albin, and Vibrantil. And then I also included a little note for which ones were safe for pregnant and or lactating animals. And then in the middle, I included a chart that compares the different medications and which ones are safe for dogs, cats, and then the different parasites that each one treats. The top portion of the chart includes mainly intestinal parasites, while the bottom portion of the chart is the external parasites. So overall, my original work really allowed me to expand on my own personal knowledge of parasites, as well as create something that could serve purpose to clients or community members who would like to learn more about how to protect their animals from these parasites. And the skills I've acquired not only through the research done through the ISM program, but everything that I've learned in the vet clinic will assist me in the professional world in my future. The experience that I've gained through the ISM program and shadowing Dr. Hunter will be tremendously impactful on my future. The skills I've learned will assist me in college, in the veterinary clinic, and in the professional world. Although I began my ISM journey last year with doubts about my desire to continue into this field, the experience has only solidified my desire to pursue this field in college and in life. I look forward to continuing to shadow Dr. Hunter through the rest of the year and learning as much as possible before I leave for college. Thank you.